Hi there. LinkedIn had a career advice email sent over me today for Shubham, and the question was, if in 3 to 4 years he wants to become a senior financial analyst, what would some of the strategies be? And I break these down to 3. So the first one is going to be networking. Number 2 is going to be niche knowledge, and then 3 is to be able to start building an online community. So the first one, let's talk about networking. One of the biggest mistakes people make young and old in their career is they think that their current company or their current connections are going to get them to where they want to go. It's that very same adage, but just twisted a little bit differently, is what got you here won't get you there. So in other words, the connections that you have that got you here won't get you to where you want to go. So for example, you might be at a particular company, and so you know a certain number of people. But if you need to get to that senior analyst role, it might be in a completely different department. So do you know the other leaders at the other departments? Do you know the HR individuals that focus on promoting from within the organization that would be able to get you that interview and be able to be a partner or maybe a supporter of you being able to get that role? And so I find for a lot of people that work at big organizations is they neglect the opportunity to network. They think that just because they work there from 7 to 6 every single day and they engage with the same people, or they even have lunch with people, that they're networking. The reality is they aren't, because they're still dealing with the same people. If you had the attitude of getting to know every single one of the employees in your organization, no matter how global, you'd be able to have quite a powerful network. Now, for a lot of people that are like, oh, well, I have all these people, they're international, I would Skype with people, get to know people. If I'm having constant conversations with one person, leverage technology, get to know people beyond just the emails. And so by being able to network in your company, it's going to be able to help you be aware of the different promotions that are going to happen from within. The other thing is, you might find from a networking perspective, it'd be really advantageous for you to join an industry association, maybe a financial analyst conference, and go there and meet other analysts, meet other companies. And so you might find yourself at a smaller company and say, hey, I want to be able to make sure that I'm aware of other businesses that exist out there. So that's going to be extremely powerful. Conferences, local chamber events can be powerful depending on the city that you live in, depending on if there's a lot of opportunity for senior financial analysts out there. You're going to know that better than I will, knowing the community that you live in. I'd say if you wanted to have a senior financial analyst role where I live, if I take the entire county that I live in, that's 134,000 people, not a good place for you to be able to look here. So I would be literally looking outside. I'd be networking at those conferences, getting to know other individuals. The next thing and don't mistake, networking has the word work in it, right? So it's going to require effort on your part. You're going to have to go out of your comfort zone and meet strangers, talk to other business professionals. The next thing that I start having a look at is that niche knowledge. You said you're in the automotive industry. Is that an area that you still really enjoy? Do you see that there's a lot of opportunity there? If I'm a financial analyst, I think there is. Big time, obviously, we have autonomous driving, and that's not only for the automotive industry from a consumer perspective, but more so from a logistics perspective. Think about all the trucking companies that exist globally, and how is autonomous driving going to affect the entire logistics chain, especially in the trucking community. That is huge, especially in places like where you have good infrastructure, like Europe and United States. Parts of China have decent infrastructure. Of course, there's a lot of traffic as well that you get to deal with, but that's just how it is. And so you look at those countries that have really good roads, freeways, infrastructure, bridges, and so autonomous driving is going to be very dominant. And as an analyst, do you know those companies? Do you know those players? Can you project where that's going to go? So if you think about the industry that you're in, if you don't like it, then go start doing research on a specific industry that you think has legs. If you're like, hey, I think oil and energy, that's the hotbed, I'm going to focus all in on that. And that means what you're going to be doing after hours, not during your workday, you're going to be researching more about a different industry and how your thoughts, your analysis can play a role on understanding that. And maybe there's some articles you could write about what you think about, and that kind of bleeds itself into the online community or online connections. I find that this one can help leverage your ability to take that 3 to 4 year senior financial analyst role and reduce it almost in half. And where I go with this is this. You can connect with probably 10 people on LinkedIn in a matter of maybe a half hour. Like literally have decent conversations with people. To do that face-to-face, belly-to-belly with people, you're not going to be able to do that in 10 minutes. It's going to require or 30 minutes. It's going to require, hours of time, right? If you gave everybody 20 minutes of time, at 10 people, that's 200 minutes. So that basically puts it at 3 hours and 20 minutes. And that's literally kind of back to back to back to back, those 10 people. So you can leverage LinkedIn online connections to be able to speed up the process. Now you can't speed up the engagement. So a lot of times people, they want to connect with people online and they want something immediately. And I'll give you an example. I'll speak at sometimes to universities, to college students, and they'll connect with me and I'm like, perfect, yeah, let's connect. And then they'll shoot me a message and say, hey, can you help me get a job? I graduated in May. I'm not an HR recruiter. I can't help you. Like I already have, I'm running my biz and got this fun stuff here on social media. So, and I got family and I got working out. I'm already spread where I want to put my time. And so the idea that I'm going to help you find a job just isn't realistic. Now, if somebody says to me, Sherman, we're connected on LinkedIn. I look through your LinkedIn connections. I see that you're connected with a gal named Jane. She's an HR recruiter at this company. Can you make the introduction? Boom, done. Because from a convenience standpoint, all I'm doing is making the introduction. Just shooting out the email to Jane, I'm CCing you in on it, or on LinkedIn, I'm just saying, hey, boom, connect to this person. And then I'm making the introduction that way. And so it's going to be extremely powerful to start building your online connections with people at other companies that you like, maybe other HR recruiters that focus maybe in the financial analyst arena, or making sure that you're connected with all the people that you already know professionally. So that way, if in 3 years, or let's say in my example, in a year, you say, hey, I'm looking to get into this role with this company from what I've seen with this area of expertise, can you help me get there? So the only thing that's holding you back from a timeline perspective is having the connections and then having the expertise. So a lot of that, expertise, that niche industry knowledge is going to come by you busting your hump after hours, Monday to Sunday to Saturday, and putting in the time, or on a Saturday putting in the time. Now, of course, I know that somebody hears this and like, but what about work-life balance? You know your own balance. Don't tell anybody else to know their own work-life balance. You know how to figure that out. If you're single, you might feel like you have more time. If you're married, you might feel you have more time. Again, I don't know anybody's circumstances. I'm just telling you, for most people, instead of going to work and then coming home and watching Netflix, there's a lot of opportunity to start increasing your knowledge base. And again, think of knowledge not like in a classroom. The idea that you have to go to a university isn't necessary. You're already going to university. Shubham is in a graduate program. You're done. Now it's about you. It's learner-driven knowledge. That's what you're looking for. And that's exactly how it is in the business world. There's very few companies that are going to be like, yeah, go to education, leave for 4 years, and we'll keep a spot for you. It just doesn't happen. Go make yourself ready. Like everyone's got the same amount of hours in the day, and so you just got to prioritize it better. And then don't feel bad if you decide to put more time on your family than you do on your career for that next career advancement. So if it takes you 4 years instead of 1, don't cry about that, because that's exactly what you wanted. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And so I think for a lot of people, when they look at networking as putting in the effort, making the connections, going beyond their current company, then if they have the ability to learn a specific niche knowledge and provide value to it. So I think from a standpoint of being able to create articles or some thoughts, and you can post it now on LinkedIn and connect it to your profile, you can now allow yourself to be seen as an industry thought individual, somebody that is looking at the industry. As well, on LinkedIn, you can follow other companies, and maybe they have white papers, maybe they have some different posts that they're talking about the overall industry. What's their thoughts on autonomous driving? What are their thoughts on, autonomous logistical chain? What would that look like to them? And then finally, the third piece, of course, that we already addressed was just those online connections. Are you building that online community community. So you know people at a different geography, you know people at different companies. And so that way, if you need to move to somewhere physically in order to get that next position, you already know people you can reach out to. Or if you need to be able to get into a different company from where you currently are, then you know people already that work there, and you can, shoot an email out to James and say, James, I see that I am, confidentially, I am looking for a position at your job, at your company. Do you know the HR recruiter? Do you know the manager? Do you know anyone specifically? So remember, no one's going to care more about your career than you. And so nobody should be driving your career except you. And if you don't feel like you are driving your career, then you are in the passenger seat. So I would tell you, get out of that passenger seat and jump in the driver's seat and start driving your career. And I will tell you that if you're not asking for the promotions, if you're not letting people know where you want to go in your organization, then you're missing out. Now, I wouldn't all of a sudden go and tell your manager, hey, just so you know, I want a senior financial analyst role, and if I don't get it here, I'm going somewhere else. Because now it doesn't sound like you're a team player. You want to be a team player. You want to give to the organization. You want to give to other people and help them win. Just don't say that out loud sometimes. I think people need to have a little more tact than that. So, Shubham. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. Hopefully this was helpful. Have a fantastic day.